Beowulf, Chapter 5. The path he'd shown them was paved, cobbled like a Roman road. They arrived with their mail shirts, glittering, silver-shining links, clanking an iron song as they came. Sea-weary still, they set their broad, battle-hardened shields in rows along the wall, then stretched themselves on Heorot's benches. Their armor rang, their ash-wood spears stood in a line, grey-tipped and straight. The Geats' war-gear were honored weapons. A Danish warrior asked who they were, their names and their fathers. "Where have you carried these gold-carved shields from, these silvery shirts and helmets, and those spears set out in long lines?" "I am Hrothgar's herald and captain." "Strangers have come here before, but never so freely, so bold. And you come too proudly to be exiles. Not poverty, but your heart's high courage has brought you to Hrothgar." He was answered by a famous soldier, the Geats' proud prince. "We follow Hygelac, break bread at his side. I am Beowulf. My errand is for Healfdene's great son to hear, your glorious lord. If he chooses to receive us, we will greet him. Salute the chief of the Danes and speak out our message." Wulfgar replied, a prince born to the Swedes, famous for both strength and wisdom. "Our warm-hearted lord will be told of your coming. I shall tell our king, our giver of bright rings, and hurry back with his word, and speak it here, however he answers your request." He went quickly to where Hrothgar sat, grey and old, in the middle of his men, and knowing the custom of that court walked straight to the king's great chair, stood waiting to be heard, then spoke. "There are Geats who have come sailing in the open ocean to our land, come far over the high waves, led by a warrior called Beowulf. They wait on your word, bring messages for your ears alone. My lord, grant them a gracious answer. See them and hear what they've come for. Their weapons and armor are nobly worked. These men are no beggars. And Beowulf, their prince, who showed them the way to our shores, is a mighty warrior, powerful and wise." Chapter 6. The Danes' high prince and protector answered, "I knew Beowulf as a boy. His father was Egetho, who was given Hrethel's one daughter, Hrethel, Hygelac's father. Now Egetho's brave son is here, come visiting a friendly king, and I've heard that when seamen came, bringing their gifts and presents to the Geats, they wrestled and ran together, and Hygelac's young prince showed them a mighty battle grip, hands that moved with 30 men's strength and courage to match. Our holy father has sent him as a sign of his grace, a mark of his favor, to help us defeat Grendel and end that terror. I shall greet them with treasures, gifts to reward his courage in coming to us. Quickly, order them all to come to me, together, Beowulf and his band of Geats, and tell them too how welcome we will make them." Then Wulfgar went to the door and addressed the waiting seafarers with soldiers' words. "My lord, the great king of the Danes commands me to tell you that he knows of your noble birth, and that having come to him from over the open sea, you have come bravely and are welcome. Now go to him as you are, in your armor and helmets, but leave your battle shields here, and your spears, let them lie waiting for the promises your words may make." Beowulf arose, with his men around him, ordering a few to remain with their weapons, leading the others quickly along under Heorot's steep roof into Hrothgar's presence. Standing on that prince's own hearth, helmeted, the silvery metal of his mail shirt gleaming with a smith's high art, he greeted the Danes' great lord. "Hail, Hrothgar! Hygelac is my cousin and my king. The days of my youth have been filled with glory. Now Grendel's name has echoed in our land. Sailors have brought us stories of Heorot, the best of all mead halls, deserted and useless when the moon hangs in skies the sun had lit. Light and life fling together. My people have said, the wisest, most knowing, and best of them, that my duty was to go to the Danes' great king. They have seen my strength for themselves, have watched me rise from the darkness of war, dripping with my enemy's blood. I drove 5 great giants into chains, chased all of that race from the earth. I swam in the blackness of night, hunting monsters out of the ocean, and killing them one by one. Death was my errand, and the fate they had earned. Now Grendel and I are called together, and I've come. Grant me, then, lord and protector of this noble place, a single request. I have come so far, O shelterer of warriors and your people's loved friend, that there's one favor you should not refuse me, that I, alone and with the help of my men, may purge all evil from this hall. I have heard, too, that the monster's scorn of men is so great that he needs no weapons and fears none. Nor will I, my lord Hygelac might think less of me if I let my sword go where my feet were afraid to, if I hid behind some broad linden shield. My hands alone shall fight for me, struggle for life against the monster. God must decide who will be given to death's cold grip, Grendel's plan, I think, will be what it had been before, to invade this hall and gorge his belly with our bodies. If he can. And I think, if my time will have come, there will be nothing to mourn over, no corpse to prepare for its grave. Grendel will carry our bloody flesh to the moors, crunch on our bones, and smear torn scraps of our skin on the walls of his den. No, I expect no Danes will fret about sewing our shrouds, if he wins. And if my death does take me, send the hammered mail of the armor to Higelac, return the inheritance I had from Hrethel, and he from Wayland. Fate will unwind as it must. Chapter 7. Hrothgar replied, Protector of the Danes! Beowulf, you've come to us in friendship, and because of the reception your father found at our court, Ecgtheow had begun a bitter feud, killing Hathlif, a wolfling warrior. Your father's countrymen were afraid of war. If he returned to his home, and they turned him away. Then he traveled across the curving waves to the lot of the Danes. I was new to the throne then, a young man ruling this wide kingdom in its golden city, Hurgar. My older brother, a far better man than I, had died, and dying made me second among Helfden's sons, first in this nation. About the end of Ecgtheow's quarrel, sent ancient treasures through the ocean's furrows to the wolflings. Your father swore he'd keep that peace. My tongue grows heavy, and my heart, when I try to tell you that Grendel has brought us the damage he's done, here in this hall. You see for yourself how much smaller our ranks have become, and can guess what we've lost. To his terror, surely the Lord Almighty could stop his madness, smother his lust. How many times have my men, glowing with courage drawn from too many cups of ale, sworn to stay after dark, and stem that horror with a sweep of their swords. And then, in the morning, this mead hall glittered with new light would be drenched with blood, the benches stained red, the floors all wet from that fiend's savage assault. And my soldiers would be fewer still, death taking more and more. But to table, Beowulf, a banquet in your honor. Let us toast your victories, and talk of the future. Then Hrothgar's men gave places to the Geats, yielded benches to the brave visitors, and led them to the feast. The keeper of the mead came carrying out the carved flasks, and poured that bright sweetness. A poet sang from time to time, in a clear, pure voice. Danes and visiting Geats celebrated as one, drank and rejoiced. Chapter 8. Unferth spoke, Ecglif's son, who sat at Hrothgar's feet, spoke harshly and sharp, vexed by Beowulf's adventure, by their visitors' courage, and angered that anyone in Denmark or anywhere on earth had ever acquired glory and fame greater than his own. You're Beowulf, are you? The same boastful fool who fought a swimming match with Breca, both of you daring and young and proud, exploring the deepest seas, risking your lives for no reason but the danger. All older and wiser heads warned you not to, but no one could check such pride. With Breca at your side, you swam along the sea paths, your swift-moving hands pulling you over the ocean's face. Then winter churned through the water, the waves ran you as they willed, and you struggled 7 long nights to survive. And at the end victory was his, not yours. The sea carried him close to his home, to southern Norway, near the land of the Brondings, where he ruled and was loved, where his treasure was piled and his strength protected, his towns and his people. He'd promised to outswim you. Bonston's son made that boast ring true. You've been lucky in your battles, Beowulf, but I think your luck may change if you challenge Grendel, staying a whole night through in this hall, waiting where the fiercest of demons can find you. Beowulf answered, Ecgtheow's great son. Ah, Unferth, my friend! Your face is hot with ale, and your tongue has tried to tell us about Breca's doings. But the truth is simple. No man swims in the sea as I can. No strength is a match for mine. As boys, Breca and I had boasted, we were both too young to know better, that we'd risk our lives far out at sea, and so we did. Each of us carried a naked sword, prepared for whales or the swift, sharp teeth and beaks of needlefish. He could never leave me behind, swim faster across the waves than I could, and I had chosen to remain close to his side. I remained near him for 5 long nights, until a flood swept us apart. The frozen sea surged around me. It grew dark, the wind turned bitter, blowing from the north, and the waves were savage. Creatures who sleep deep in the sea were stirred into life. And the iron-hammered links of my mail shirt, these shining bits of metal, woven across my breast, saved me from death. A monster seized me, drew me slightly toward the bottom, swimming with its claws tight in my flesh. But fate let me find its heart with my sword, hack myself free. I fought that beast's last battle, left it floating lifeless in the sea.